I want to talk to you about letting some stuff go. And I want to illustrate it with a quick story. There was a young kid who studied eagles in school with his teacher. And one day he went out in search of eagles. So he packed a lunch box, and he went out walking with his binoculars. And as he began to walk in the sky, he noticed something flying. So he peeped through his binoculars, but it wasn't an eagle. It was only a hawk. He was a little bit disappointed, but he didn't quit. He kept on his journey until eventually he saw something else flying far in the sky, high in the sky, and he peeped through his binoculars, and sure enough, it was an eagle. He was so amazed because he had never saw an eagle before in flight. And then he remembered what his teacher taught him in school. His teacher told him that eagles, they fly at higher altitudes than the other birds. You see, eagles, they have a wingspan of 8 to 10 feet. Not only does eagles fly at a higher altitude, but they also have a keen sense of vision. They can see anywhere from 2.5 miles away to actually identify their prey. But not only that, eagles, not only do they fly at a higher altitude, they mate in the air when they're at that higher altitude. You see, you'll never see an eagle mating with a chicken or a hawk or a pigeon. Eagles only mate with others' eagles. And as this kid remembered all of the teachings that his teacher had taught, the eagle all of a sudden began to dive to the ground. And as it started to dive, it was like a National Geographical moment. The eagle picked up something from the ground, swooped up, and started heading right up into the sky again. But this time, as the eagle began to climb, instead of ascending all the way, the eagle stopped in midair. And all of a sudden, the little boy saw the eagle start to fall. And it was falling and flapping and falling and flapping, and eventually the eagle was out of sight. And the boy was shocked. He was like, whoa, what happened to the bird? I've got to know what happened to the eagle. So the boy continued to look for his eagle. Eventually, he found it. And when he found it, it was on the ground. And the boy walked up to it, turned it over, and there, affixed to the eagle's chest, was a weasel. You see, the weasel had eaten out the eagle's heart. And the little boy began to cry. He said, why didn't you just let it go? You're so much stronger than that weasel, eagle. Why didn't you let it go? You see, the eagle had held on to the weasel just a little bit too long because the weasel ate the eagle's heart out. And right now, there are some of us holding on to things way too long. We're way stronger than the thing that we're holding on to. Maybe we're holding on to resentment. Maybe we have a spirit of bitterness. Maybe someone has done us wrong, or maybe there are some things that you are continuing to hope for that maybe it's time to let go of and begin again. What are you going to let go of in 2021 that you've been holding on to in 2020? It's time to let some things go. You know, that story is so powerful. And the reason it's so powerful because it's like life. Maybe you've started a company and it's not working out. Maybe it's time to quit. Maybe it's not successful. Shark Tank talks about it all the time, where they say, hey, this company is never going to make any money, and it doesn't. But then there's other things that it talks about in Shark Tank that people don't quit on, and they become very successful. But eventually, we all have to come to the realization, are we going to hold on to it? Are we going to let some things go? You know, my dear friend, Andy Henriquez, he has a story that he talks about when he was a young kid, where he was holding on to a car too long, and he began to drag him. And he talks about letting go or be dragged. Sometimes you've got to let things go or you will be dragged. I don't know about you, but this year I want to let some things go. If it's not in my best interest, I'm going to let it go. If it's stopping me from being all that I can be, I'm going to let it go. If it's preventing me from being able to live my best life, I'm going to let it go. And I encourage you to let some things go too as well. It's up to you. If you want to hold on to it, go ahead. But let me tell you, there is a reason why things have to be let go. There is a reason why bridges have to be burnt completely down so that we could be able to experience a much better life. Let's make 2021 our best life. Let's do things that's going to help us become our best and stop focusing on those things that we have held on to when we should have already let them go.